Welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. This episode has been brought to you by the Wine to Wine Business Forum 2022. This year will mark the 9th edition of the forum to be held on November 7th and 8th of 2022 in Verona, Italy. This year will be an exclusively in-person edition. The main theme of the event will be all-round wine communication. Tickets are on sale now, so for more information, please visit us at winetowine.net. Welcome to another episode of On the Road Edition, hosted by Stevie Kim. Each week, she travels to incredible wine destinations, interviewing some of the Italian wine scene's most interesting personalities, talking about wines, the foods, as well as the incredible travel destinations.
Hello, my name's Stevie Kim, and welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast On the Road Edition. Today, we are here in this town called Tramin, but also the name of the winery is Tramin. And this is a very special episode because we are here to celebrate their anteprima of this 100-point wine, this iconic, infamous, and famous wine called Epocale. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So first of all, ciao, Wolfgang Klotz.
Ciao Stevie, it's on the border of Austria, and we have Austrian heritage and culture side, so that's why you find here Austria and Italy. We are Italians, and although we need to say that the culture is not the classical Italian culture, but it's just when you look around the housings, you don't feel to be in Italy. So we either feel as South Tyrolean or Italian, I would say, or European.
Right. So can you just tell us geographically for our audience where Tramin is exactly? Yes. Where is it located?
So I would start politically. We are, if you think about Italy, straight in the middle between Milan and Venice, an hour and a half north towards the border to Austria. It's the only area in the south side of the Alps where the valley is not tight as usual, but it's the valley opening up in this area. And that's where we are. So we have a combination of 300 sunny days, warm day temperatures in the heart of mountains and glaciers.
Yeah, so he's getting geeky on me already. And Alto Adige in German, it's called Südtirol, right? So tell us a little bit about the winery, because it's a very particular co-op, right?
Yes, exactly. So it's a cooperative founded more than 100 years ago in 1898. Back in the time, it was pure necessity because grape pricings were very, very bad. And also to the fact that Alto Adige, the ownerships are very, very fractionated. Back in the times and still today, the whole area has 5,000 hectares of viticulture and 5,000 wine growers. So you see that's one hectare.
On the average, yeah.
On the average,
yeah.
1
hectare per
producer. And so back in the times, as today, they were not so much buying the grapes, but a lot of people selling the grapes. So the price was very bad. So this idea came up of the cooperative system. And it was the parish of the village of Tramin, who was the forcing power to engage a group of growers to invest in a winery, to produce their own wine and to try to sell the wine and hopefully earn more than by selling the grapes. And it's a system that started in that time almost in every wine growing village in Alto Adige. So if you look, there are other cooperatives in the area. Every bigger wine village has a cooperative.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So basically you have a bunch of wine growers. How many are there?
So there are about 160 families working 270 hectares and owning the winery, the company.
Right. So before we get into the wine, because I know we want to talk about that, is it Gewürztraminer come from originally Tramin?
What we know and what we can say is that there is no proof for either one.
Okay.
So there's no
Great.
proof of saying it's not, like there's no proof that it is. It's one of the oldest grape varieties in the world. A lot of international grape varieties belong to Gewürztraminer. So knowing that, we know that Gewürztraminer started sometimes very long ago, and it's difficult to tell what happened back in the time. And I believe it's even not so important. It's important if the area, climatically, it's a good area for Gewürztraminer. And it's very likely that Tramin gave the name to the variety. And we know that in the Middle Age, already in a lot of places in Europe, they talked about the wines from this area. Gewürztraminer really restarted to be an important grape variety in Alto Adige, so the first starts 35 years ago. Replanting Gewürztraminer.
What happened exactly 30? You keep on saying 35 years ago. What happened 35 years ago?
What happened? So Alto Adige and also our company 35 years ago had, for example, 75 or 80% of the vineyards were planted with
my favorite grape.
Your favorite grape,
Schiava. Yes.
And in the Middle Age, we know that 3/4 of the viticulture was white wine. And back in the time, wine was a daily drink, and a lot means better. And Alto Adige is also the warmest German-speaking wine-growing area. Right. So the monasteries, to them, it was very logical to use Schiava to produce a lot of red wine. And that was the system. And at a certain time in the 70s, 80s, that system didn't pay anymore, because we know that consumers look more for good wine and not for a lot of wine. We can say that market showed us that we were wrong, because we had Schiava on
everywhere.
The hills at 700-800 meters, yields on 220,000 kilos per hectare.
Are you enjoying this podcast? Don't forget to visit our YouTube channel, Mama Jumbo Shrimp, for fascinating videos covering Stevie Kim and her travels across Italy and beyond, meeting winemakers, eating local food, and taking in the scenery. Now back to the show.
And when you're in a bad situation, it's much more easier to move on a change. And that happened 35, right. Not only in Cantina Tramin, luckily, generally in Alto Adige.
Okay, so tell us then now about Gewürztraminer and the wines that you produce. Going back to that, how many wines do you produce with Gewürztraminer?
Yeah. So in Gewürztraminer, we produce predominantly a dry style of Gewürztraminer. And with that stylistic, we created a stylistic by now known in the world as the Italian style of Gewürztraminer, with no residual sugar, a Gewürztraminer that shows very beautiful in the glass, and although it is dried, it's very well balanced. Highest and best interpretation of the dry
that's
style.
Kind of your, in reality, that's your signature wine,
This
right? Because I got to know Tramin because of the news.
Yes, and that's our signature wine, and that's our most important interpretation of a dry Gewürztraminer, where we do 15 to 20 fermentations. Some they go down to 0, some at 15, some one stopped by chilling a little bit higher to do the final blend, and it's around 7 to 8 grams.
Right.
That's why we believe that Gewürztraminer grapes need to be ripe to get the aromatics. And basically we look that the skins became very, very thin, and with the thin skins, the aromatics get into the wine.
But what about balancing with the acidity, right? Because when it's more ripe, you tend to lose a bit of acidity. When do you know it's the right moment to harvest?
The right moment is when the skin becomes very thin, in the way that the funnels of the skin go into the juice, and we have by the end the aromatics in the glass. So anticipating is not really an option. The sugar is already produced before.
Right.
And the acidity, it either is there or it's not. And that is due to the microclimate. And in fact, Gewürztraminer, if it's not on his dedicated area, it's almost impossible to get a result that is in balance and still has the aromatics what should be part of Gewürztraminer.
What is the best microclimate for Gewürztraminer? What is the optimal condition?
we did this beautiful tasting today, and we had the honor to have Gabriele Gorelli leading the tasting, and he found a very good description for the Gewürztraminer, saying that it's a cool climate grape variety that loves the heat, or that loves warm weather.
Warm weather,
in cool climate areas. So he said that even in Alsace and Alto Adige, they're both more cool climate areas, but they need sun and heat. And that's what our best areas, they are south exposed, south facing. A lot of sun, but then this little bit of acidity that the Gewürztraminer has genetically needs to be preserved. So we need to have cool nights. And here with the Mendel Mountain behind of us, we got very early shadow. And we also have quite heavy soils.
What kind of soils do you have
it's
here?
Limestone, dolomitic limestone, in combination with a good part of clay. And this makes sure that it releases the heat much faster than deep sandy soil, for example, right? And it's this combination, it's almost impossible to think about, but if we look outside here, where all this this area here is not a good area for Gewürztraminer. The Gewürztraminer, here they get overcooked, the acidity is lost, the wines got flat, and just this 300 meters behind, a little bit higher, that's where the balance and remains in the wine. Going a little bit higher, in our case more than 500, 550 meters, it doesn't get the ripeness.
So it's too cool.
8 years out of 10.
Right.
Yeah.
So you talked about the diurnal temperature, right? The difference between night and day. How much of a difference
how much it is
there between night and day during the growing seasons, obviously?
And obviously it's important at the last part of the year, of the growing season. And then at that part of the year, it's around about 220 degrees. And it starts
20 degrees.
Yeah, and it starts also earlier. That time of the year, 4 p.m., already the shadow comes in. And at 2-3 p.m., the wind of the Lake Garda, the Ora, blows too, keeps the grapes healthy to get the ripeness. And they bring also good ventilation. We do two dry style Gewürztraminer,
Nussbaumer
and Selida.
Yeah.
Then we do, since a few years, a more international style, a Spätlese Gewürztraminer, that's Epocale.
Right.
One has a little bit higher level of residual sugar. Then we do Passito, that's called Rouen.
Rouen, yes.
The peak of the mountain here, what arrives at 2,100 something meters. And then we have Terminum.
And what's the difference between Terminum and Epocale?
Terminum is a late harvest with botrytis. So it's a dessert wine with 200-300 grams of residual sugar. It's like a TBA. And Epocale is a Spätlese where we just have, so usually, or not usually, with Epocale, when we see a little touch of botrytis, or the first botrytis starts, that's the sign to pick the grape.
Okay, so when, of course, he takes for granted TBA means Trockenbeerenauslese, something like that?
Yeah.
Or how do you say it in German?
In Germany, it's Trockenbeerenauslese.
Yeah, exactly. So it is a higher concentrated of residual sugar, where Spätlese is at the very lower range.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode brought to you by the Wine to Wine Business Forum 2022. This year will mark the 9th edition of the forum, to be held on November 7th and 8th, 2022, in Verona, Italy. Remember, tickets are on sale now, so for more information, please visit us at winetowine.net. Hi guys, I'm Joy Livingston, and I am the producer of the Italian Wine Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are the only wine podcast that has been doing a daily show since the pandemic began. This is a labor of love, and we are committed to bringing you free content every day. Of course, this takes time and effort, not to mention the cost of equipment, production, and editing. We would be grateful for your donations, suggestions, requests, and ideas. For more information on how to get in touch, go to ItalianWinePodcast.com.